Is it just me, or are these flashbacks just lasting a little bit too long? I think to date now, this is the 11th or 12th week of the Magi flashback, and I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, this is going to be a little bit enough, so, you know, stretch it out to 2 or 3 more weeks, but I really want to just get back to the present. With that said though, these flashbacks are informative. They do give us a little bit more knowledge and history on the Magi universe, so I guess in that sense they are okay to watch. Anyways guys, I'm Koji from the Otaku here, coming at you with the latest Magi Chapter review for the Magi Chapter 223, titled Close. And from the title, I guess you can presume that this basic chapter is about the relationships within Solomon's inner circle. However, it mainly focuses on Solomon and 2 of his other companions, that being Abba and Sheba. So now let's starting with this review. The chapter really just starts with Sheba and her saying how she sees Abba and Solomon as the father and mother figure, yet she also wants something more out of Solomon. I am supposing, with that said, she wants basically an intimate relationship with Solomon. Not the intimate, but more girlfriend-boyfriend kind of relationship, which we get to see towards the end of this chapter. The start of this chapter, for the first 5 to 8 pages, starts off quite friendly, quite comedic, and there is a little bit of reassessed knowledge that we find out. There is a question that is arisen by one of Solomon's inner circle, and they ask, why do that the other species have been asking, why do the magicians have so few old people and young children? And then an answer is that we magicians are able to control the process of aging, and powerful magicians can live for several hundreds of years. If we don't age, we don't have the necessity of rushing things and having descendants. So obviously that makes sense. If you can live for like 4,000 years, there's no really point to rush things and I guess marry someone when you have 4,000 years of health. You could really just wait 3,000 years and then do your intercourse, etc., 3,000 years later down the line. Whereas if you only live 50 years, then obviously 25 years, 22 years down the line, that's when you'd want to get married, give birth, and have your descendants. So it's obvious. So obviously that is why Elder David is still alive, because he was able to manipulate his own growth, his own cells, whatever, as it was explained in that answer. And then we continue on. It's still a little bit more friendly, a little bit more comedy, and then a few more pages down the line it starts to get a little bit more serious, with Solomon addressing the fact of himself that he is unable to feel love because he never had any siblings, no brothers or sisters, and his father never ever showed him any type of love. Like he says, and I quote, that there was not a single memory of love between my father and I, which that's pretty harsh. I mean, for your father to never ever once, hug you or say he loves you or whatever, that's kind of a scar, a mental scar, something that would take quite a lot of time for Solomon to get over. And we also find that Solomon is only 22 years old. So for someone who is 22 years old and he has another 500 to 800 years of life left, that's something that will affect him for quite a long time, which is why he goes on to state that he's not really the one who is leading the other species, because he is not the one who is showing them the leadership of love. It would be his inner circle, his other companions, because they are the one who have the brothers and sisters, the siblings, who know what true love is like, who know what love is really like. So he goes on to say that he feels quite useless in a way, because his companions, he feels as his companions are doing really more work than he is. Which is also another reason why he hates it when people admire him in a godlike sense, when they build statues for him or they bow down to him, etc., etc. That's why he wants people to treat him like an equal. He wants to be a part of, I guess you could say, the world family. He wants the world to treat him as they would treat each other, not as some king, not as some emperor, not as some god, basically just as a brother or sister, as a normal person. So we have that all seriousness, so we had that all the comedy or whatever, and now we have the seriousness. And then the next page it gets even more seriouser, because they address the issue of how to fill this hole in Solomon's heart. And then it goes back to comedy, and then it goes back to Sheba getting all embarrassed and running away because they look at Sheba and they say that, oh, Sheba should have Solomon's child. That was comedy at the start, but then Abba looks at it as being more serious, and she confronts Sheba and says, in the simplest way possible, become Solomon's wife. Sheba looks at this as kind of in two ways, like yay, this is like my dream come true, and the second one is what the absolute hell is Abba talking about, because Sheba initially thought that the relationship between Solomon and Abba was of the intimate type, which is the type that she would want to have with Solomon, the boyfriend-girlfriend type relationship. But Abba goes on to explain that she's unable to have this relationship with Solomon because her mission, essentially, when she was raised by the Orthodox Church, was to look after Solomon. Her mission was to literally befriend Solomon, become his friend. She had no choice in that matter. She was to oversee his deeds and see if he was worthy of, or see if he was capable of ruling over the other species as a dictator, as his father did in the past. And we have all this seriousness going on, and then Abba tells Sheba to promise her that she will do this for life, that Sheba will be Solomon's ally for life, because Sheba is the only one out of all of the other Solomon's companions who has the dedication to stick with Solomon for eternity. And continuing on, Abba says that Abba will be the supporting pillar who supports Solomon in his darker times, to support him in time that he needs to be brutal and ferocious, whereas Sheba will support him when he's on the verge of breaking down. So sort of basically the yin and yang relationship. So Abba will be the yang, the darkness, and Sheba will be the yin, the light. And they will use their light and darkness supporting roles to support Solomon in the times of light and darkness, in essence. And then moving on, we have Sheba looking at this from the childlike perspective, where she says that she doesn't want to do this. She wants to live happily with everyone forever. She wants, she goes back to saying, or not initially saying, but, well, yeah, saying that she wants Abba and Solomon to be her mother and father figure as she looked at them in the past. However, Abba says that this is impossible because times are changing, things are going to be moving forward, and there's going to be a lot of tough times ahead of them due to, as it said in the past, how there is only a few hundred or so years left with the on the planet, and then after that the planet will get destroyed because the magicians are using too much magic. However, that was all in the previous chapter. So Abba says to Sheba that I want you to promise me that you are the only one woman who can love him, and I don't think that you are a child anymore. So she wants her to promise that you will stick with Solomon for eternity, be by his side, and support him when he needs you the most. And then Sheba gets a little bit angry and says that I want you all to look at me as an incredible magician who will make you and the others and Solomon happy. And then we go on to Abba again saying that it's not possible, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden Sheba just matures instantly and says, I will remain married to Solomon for all of my life, and I will always be his ally. Then the seriousness is over finally, and we get down to the last frame, which is somewhat comedic, and it says, it has Sheba basically incredibly embarrassed, looking down to Solomon saying, Solomon, please go out with me, and then Solomon replying, what the hell are you talking about? Are you still asleep talking? So finally that chapter ends with the seriousness of marriage and the whole hole in Solomon's heart. And it's kind of an up and down chapter because it starts with comedy and happiness, and then it goes straight up to seriousness and then straight back down to comedy. So your emotions basically whoop, 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 which is kind of okay, I guess, because we do get a little bit of information out of it. We learn that Solomon is 22 years old and we also learned why magicians are able to live for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Because powerful magicians are able to manipulate their growth, their cells, whatever, etc. So overall, a good chapter. Quite liked it, quite enjoyed it. But yeah, I just want these flashbacks to be over. I just want to get back into the old Magi rhythm where there is actual magic and how we can actually, the fighting and stuff. There was a few flashbacks of that, but they didn't really last very long. And now we're just onto information and knowledge and background and all that kind of stuff. But overall, these flashbacks are alright, and they do hold their purpose of, for the knowledge. For that knowledgeable purpose part. As of today though, if you watch my videos and stuff, I'm going to start the Otaku Layer's random question of the day. So in essence, it's just a random question that pertains or relates to some sort of anime, manga, game, etc. So the first Otaku Layer random question of the day is, what is your favorite manga? So out of all the mangas that you read, which one is your favorite? Personally, I've only read a handful of manga, literally a handful. You can literally count the number I have read on a hand and a half, which is about 7 to 8. So out of all of the ones that I have read, which is 7 to 8, my favorite one is Kingdom. So Kingdom, this is also a recommendation as well to my favorite manga, Kingdom. Read Kingdom, it is amazing. If you love war type, seinen type mangas, you will love Kingdom. It doesn't really have anything to do with magic or anything like that, but there's a lot of war, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of gore, and there's a lot of mystery, politics, and kind of diplomatic issues pertaining to Kingdom. It is really an amazing manga. So again, the Otaku Layer's random question of the day is, what is your favorite manga? So leave any comments, questions, theories, anything that you may have in the comment section below. Also leave your answers to the random question of the day in the comment section below. I am Karasui from the Otaku Layer with the manga chapter review for Magi 223, titled Close. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. And as always, guys, as I just said before, thank you very much for watching.